Now, Gabon has opened her borders after several days of closure following last week's military coup that toppled longtime ruler Ali Bongo. The takeover was received with widespread public elation, with thousands of Gabonese trooping into the streets of Libreville, the country's capital, to celebrate. Joining us now to focus on why citizens of Gabon and those of Niger Republic before them opened their arms to Coups and have been calling on the last vestige of their common colonial masters, France, to leave. I want to say thank you very much for joining us here on Newsday. Now, we've seen something happen. Of course, we'll be talking about the spades of coup in the West and Central African regions. And more importantly, the most recent of them has to be what happened in Niger and now Gabon. And one thing seems to be the underlying thing. The people are in support of the coup leaders at the moment. You would think it was the other way around. Talk to us about it. Is this the harsh reality of where we find ourselves, especially within the borders of Niger and Gabon, whereby the democratically elected presidents cannot ensure that democracy and the dividends thereof are being felt from top to bottom?
Well, thank you for having me. We are back to this again in Africa. The last time I was here, it was about the coup in Niger, and we talked about the need for African leaders to do better. Now, Gabon is a small country of about 3.5 million people, about 3.5 million people, and with a GDP per capita of about $15,000 per capita. So it simply tells you that the country is well endowed with natural resources. They have mineral resources, they have natural resources, they have what it takes to put every family at the table with the population they have and with the resources, the income from their resources. Because about 60% of their earning come from oil in the country. And that is enough to make life easy for the citizenry. But when you have a situation where a family, a country management, a country administration have become a family business, then things like this are bound to happen. For 56 years, a family held the sway in running the affairs of governance in a country where poverty is a concern. So how do you think that the people will not feel relieved? I made it very clear that African leaders should stop this process of trying to manipulate their constitutions to perpetually keep them in office for a long time, because you are not delivering the dividends of democracy. The people are not feeling the impact, the positive impact of your government, yet you are perpetrating and forcing yourself on them. Then how do you expect them to react? That is the reaction you see on the streets of Libreville, because the people feel that they can live better than what they are currently if leadership is right. So you can imagine the amount of monies that is going on, being circulated by media houses, the internet, and all that. It is appalling that we don't learn from experiences in Africa. And I think that this wave, though is a condemnable act, we are not in support of unconstitutional government. And that is why we're calling on African leaders to do better when they have the opportunity to serve their people. And I also call on those who has taken power to make sure that constitutional government is brought back to Gabon as soon as possible.
Very good, Dr. Obir, and I'm glad you mentioned the fact that Africans are probably not learning from experience. Now, Gabon's coup leader, General Brice Nguema, is alleged to be a distant cousin of ousted President Ali Bongo, whose family has been in power for 55, 56 years. So what has changed? Is the people's celebration short-lived at this rate, you think?
There's something you must understand. Even when you belong to a family or you belong to an association, it's not every policy of that association or that family that suits everybody. So it is possible that the yearnings of the Gabonese on the street get to some of these people with conscience. It doesn't mean that when everybody is part of a government, then they are in support of whatever that government is doing. That is why there should be voice inside. Now, I want to believe that something must have triggered this, which has to do with the feelers from the people. When you have, in a situation where you have so much and the people are suffering, it's a very pathetic situation. Like I said earlier, Gabon is a small country, a very small country, but with so much natural resources, so much oil that is earning them foreign earnings that would have made life better for the people. But instead, what do you see? A situation where government officials amass so much wealth that they don't actually have need for. Certainly, those that are inside will surely find a way to to yield to the earnings of the populace.
All right. Some will say history is repeating itself. Because if you look closely, the Arab Springs that began in the 2010s spread across about 6 nations. It started off with Tunisia back in the day in 2010. Then it went to Libya, Egypt, Yemen, Syria, and Bahrain. All of them having underlying problems, common denominators amongst them. And some sort of change was brought to these lands. Not all of them, but some sort of change was brought to these lands. Is this the beginning of that same pattern again, that we'll begin to see disgruntled people come out to speak against their government? Because a lot of people, now the second leg of my question has to be the fact that a lot of people have criticized the African Union and ECOWAS as being toothless bulldogs that can back but cannot bite, that they've not been able to speak to the plight of the people in Africa, but are more concerned about democratic institutions as against the welfare of the people in these particular institutions. Talk to us about this.
Yeah, what you must understand is that ECOWAS and its sister bodies across Africa are bodies that came up through treaty of the countries that are members of such body. And it is a body that protects democracy. democracy, democratic government, constitutional form of government, it is their responsibility to ensure that democracy is kept in Africa, and the peace in the region and all that. So if people are saying that ECOWAS or AU and all that are toothless bulldogs, I want to disagree with that. In as much as the pain of the people are felt, there are also agreements that bind this community of countries, and you cannot go out of what is in the treaty and do something else. So this is not a matter of AU or ECOWAS as a body. This is a matter of leadership in Africa. Our leaders need to listen more to the people and do what the people want, not what they want for the people. Because you must look at the area from where the jubilation on the streets are coming from. Is because leadership that trickles down to the people, it has no positive effect in their life, in their economy. This is why they feel that those who have come to take power constitutionally are listening to them more than those who are in power constitutionally. So they see them as if this is an opportunity for a new government to come. Probably when they come and they settle, my life might be different from what it is at the moment. This is the feelers you have on the streets of Libreville today. But it doesn't make it right. Democracy is a way to go. And if we must keep democracy in Africa and stop this wave of coup across Africa that is raving right now, our leaders, African leaders need to go selfless. They need to go selfless. The people need presidents that have a listening ear. The people need presidents that feel the impact of their daily activities. The people need presidents that feel how their people fare in the economy they are managing. The people need the president that we do the right thing and we act swiftly when things occur. You see, the Africans actually are not looking for too much. They are not looking for too much. And this is what government, within a government that have a political will, can actually have a listening ear to the people, to the plight of the people. They want to know the body language of the people towards the government. Where they are not doing right, they need to go back and straighten things in a way that the people's interests and their trust will be earned. But you cannot, in a situation where I know that there's oil behind my backyard and I cannot feed my family, it isn't a good thing. And this is why these things are happening.
Yeah, very good. Dr. Odiapo Obir, President, Good Leadership Advocacy for Africa, I would like to thank you very much for your perspective on the resurgence of coups in Africa.